Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin and Banks, and it is a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And joining me today is somebody that is awesome. I always say that everybody's awesome, and I always say that everybody's awesome, but it's like all the cosplayers that I interview, like they're super talented and awesome people. And joining me today is Bennett.cos. Bennett, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
And I am doing fantastic. I just finished working out at the gym, and your boy was in there dying, but I was like, you know what? I got this interview that I got to do tonight with Bennett, and I can't let him
I respect
down. So that's why I'm here, because heroes, they never give up. So thank you so much for joining me.
that. Of course. I'm happy to be here.
And that is what I love to hear. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that if you like this video, you subscribe to the channel and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And as D always says, podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into today's interview. So Bennett, the first question that I ask each and every guest up here is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. Tell everybody who Bennett.cos is.
So with cosplay specifically, I think like my origin story was probably because I had a cousin, her name was Hannah, and she was super into anime. She loved Naruto and she wanted to cosplay Sakura from the show. And so I went to a convention with her and I was not cosplaying. And I just saw how much fun she was having with it. And I was like, I should totally do this. And so then later on that year, I had my first cosplay, which I think was Yang from RWBY, because I love that show.
Yeah, okay.
And then since then, I cosplayed like maybe once or twice a year, but I've only started cosplaying seriously this year. So this is kind of like my first real year of cosplay. And from January to now, I feel like I've grown a lot with like my skills and with like my mutuals and my friends and just in the cosplay community as well. So I'd say that's how I really like got started with cosplay. And now I just like, I can't quit it. I have to keep going.
I totally feel that. And I think it's awesome that you went to your first convention and you were just going there with your cousin Hannah. Now, Hannah, her real name isn't Miley. I just got to ask, Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was sick. No.
But you went to your first con, you enjoyed it, and it inspired you to want to do cosplay. And you did the cosplay from Ruby, and now you're doing it seriously. And I was just having this conversation earlier with Despair King, and we were talking about when we first got into cosplay. It's like your first cosplay isn't your real one. I was just like, well, it's like it's your real one, but it's kind of like your entryway into cosplay because then you level up there. And like you said, you're taking it serious now. So I want to ask you, from wearing the first cosplay to where you are now, like, is it night and day? Like, how was that transition from, going from being like a casual cosplayer to, taking it seriously?
It was, I would say for my first cosplay to now, it is like night and day. It's a huge difference because when I started cosplaying, like I just dressed up as the characters. I didn't really have any idea for what I was doing. I didn't know how to do makeup. I didn't know how to build props. I was just completely clueless. I was wanting to wear really tall heels to a convention, which if anyone who wears heels knows, you don't do that.
Don't do it.
You can't do that. But now it's just, I've just learned so much more. And it was kind of a struggle at first because with my skin specifically, when I started cosplay, I had very, very poor skin, which there's nothing wrong with that. But because of that, makeup was very hard for me to do. And it took me a long time to like figure out tips and tricks for how to do that. And then in other things, I have a very different body type from what cosplays are sold as because usually the sizes are very, very small. And I am a 5'10" woman who is very curvy. And cosplay, like costumes are not made for that. That's just not at all how they're done. And so it was very frustrating as like a lot of the time in cosplay sizes, I am like a plus size woman. it's very difficult to find sizes and costumes that will fit me, especially with more intricate costumes like Genshin Impact, which is one of my favorite games. Their costumes are so elaborate and they're very aesthetically pleasing, but the sizing is just so difficult. And so a lot of the time I would have to alter them myself. And one of my friends, PJ Pancakes is his handle on user on Instagram. He helped me hem one of my costumes and completely redo it. I got the costume originally and I was so upset because it didn't fit at all and it was very expensive. And so he helped me by taking off all the decorations, switching out a pair of pants, sewing it back, and then it fit like a glove when I tried it on. And I was so much happier with that. And so now with all the resources I have now and more of the skills that I've obtained, it definitely is like you said, night and day. It's just so completely different.
Leveled up.
Yes,
Hey.
I did. I really, really did.
Hey, and shout out to PJ Pancake, whose name
Yes.
that I really love. What's crazy was on New Year's because I was sick. I had pancakes for to celebrate New Year's, and I thought about PJ Pancake because it's an awesome
Oh,
cosplay name. And y'all go and check out my interview with PJ Pancake. It is up here on
yes.
YouTube, and make sure that you give him a follow on Instagram and TikTok. He's an amazing cosplayer, and y'all should support him just like y'all support all the other cosplayers that I interview up here. So I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying about getting costumes and them not fitting. Like I had a similar experience when I had got my Deku cosplay. The cosplay fit, but the accessories that came with it, like the elbow pads and the knee pads, didn't fit. And I'm like, man, I ordered the biggest size, but they gave me the smallest size for the accessories. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's very expensive. So when it comes to cosplay, one of the things that I love and something that you were just talking about is just being able to work on the costume and make it fit your body type. Because a lot of those costumes they do run small, unfortunately. And you know, I will say that I love that the option is just there to even get those costumes. You know, even if you are plus size and being able to
Yes.
work on them and whatnot. So since we're talking about costumes and stuff like that, I gotta know, give me your top three favorite cosplays that you've done so far.
Ooh, okay. Miss Hina, the one that I'm wearing right now, is definitely one of my favorites. She's from Genshin Impact, and technically she's not even a real character, but she's just kind of like this joke in the game, and she's just so much fun to wear, and I love the ears. So she's definitely one of my favorites. I think another one of my favorites would probably be. Ooh, I really like the Raiden Shogun, who's also from Genshin Impact. I am a huge fan of Genshin. It's pretty obvious. Um, and I think my third favorite would be maybe Tengen from Demon Slayer. I do like a female version of him. Usually when I cosplay male characters, I'll always do a female version of them just because that's what I feel the most comfortable in.
Yeah,
And he is just so much fun to do. And he's just like such a slay character. I love him. He's so flashy, and I love getting my friends to
exactly.
dress up as the wives. And it's just like, ah, oh, it's so fun. And the Demon Slayer community is like just so warm and welcoming as well. So that when you go to a con, you know that you're gonna get recognized. You know that you're gonna make mutuals. Like it's a really really fun time. Same with Genshin as well because the community's huge
It's
for
huge.
that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's like when you go to a convention, the three fandoms that you're going to see the most of are Genshin, Demon Slayer, and My Hero Academia, and now
Yes,
Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is very popular, and I'm starting to see a lot
I
of those
love it.
cosplayers. Same, and like your Chainsaw Man cosplays are really awesome too. It was
Oh,
something.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was something I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying about your Tengen cosplay. One of my friends, he cosplays as Tengen, Justin Condon. You can look him up on Instagram. But I had asked him a question when I first met him at the con, and I asked him, I was like, "Which wife is your favorite wife?" And he was like, "All of them are my favorite wives," because I do in character interviews. And he's like, "All of them are my favorite wives. I can't choose one." I was just like, "That's not what I asked you." So I'm going to ask you the same question. Which wife is your favorite one?
Ooh. So I think my favorite wife would probably be Hinatsuru just because she always like remains calm. She's just like very like think first. She's gorgeous, obviously, very intelligent. I love the other wives as well. I think to cosplay those specifically, just because I love Suma. Her wig is very simple because I myself can't really do wigs. This wig is by Verona Roses. She's letting me borrow her. She's very, very talented with wigs. And she also just up account called Pancake Roses with PJ, and
Nice.
they're doing wig and costume commissions now, which I fully intend on using because their stuff is just absolutely stunning. So I'll probably commission for Hinatsuru wig for that because she is my favorite wife. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I like that. And your boy is always plugging stuff. Check out the interview that I did with Verona Roses. It is up here on YouTube.
Yes.
She's an awesome cosplayer as well. And I'm actually going to be meeting her at CopsyCon this year, which I'm really looking forward to.
I'm
So,
going with her as well. I'm
are you
staying in the
going to be
same
there too?
hotel.
Hey,
We're going as a group.
it's about to be a Who's That Cosplayer party up here, man. I'm going to be being all of the cosplayers I interviewed. So that's
We
awesome,
have
man.
some
So
cool groups planned as well. On Sunday, we're doing a Chainsaw Man group, and
nice.
it's gonna be. Cool. I'm going as Makima, and Gabby Verone Roses is gonna be going as the Bomb Devil. So
Nice.
it's gonna be sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're supposed to be doing a Cowboy Bebop group on Friday, and I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that. And then Sunday, with some of my other friends, we're doing a Demon Slayer group, and I'm going to be cosplaying as Rengoku. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. Rengoku's my guy. Rest in peace. And yeah, man. So I got to ask you now, since we're talking about CopsyCon, talking about conventions, what have been some of your favorite moments from going to conventions over the years?
Who's that cosplayer?
Verona Roses.
I think some of my favorite moments have been, well, for a long time when I went to conventions. Now this year I've been going to so many, and I'll do like Hall Mat. That was my first time ever going to convention for multiple days. I'd never done that before. And usually before I would go to conventions for maybe like a couple of hours during the day and then I would just leave.
Yeah.
And so now my favorite moments, first favorites was at Sugoi last year. I didn't have any like cosplay mutuals like in the community at all. And I met, and then he introduced me to all of his friends. And that was just like my gateway into having such an amazing experience in cosplay with having friends and mutuals and making connections with vendors as well. And
Yes.
so I think that was one of my favorite moments. And also I just love it when people come up to me and they're so excited about the character that I'm cosplaying, because I love the character that I'm cosplaying, and then to see other people recognize that and then also be equally excited, it just creates this like amazing atmosphere, which I really, really love. So I think having interactions with other people are like my favorite moments at conventions.
Yeah, and that's something that I love too. And just to rewind a little bit, because it had cut out when you had mentioned that person's name. Who was that person again?
Oh, Oshu, Despair King Oshu.
Okay, all right, cool. And they're awesome too. Like, I'm trying to interview them up here on Who's That Cosplay. I literally just talked with them the other day, and I was just like, "Yo, I want to interview you." It's just like, I feel like I've interviewed everybody in the crew, and you're the only person that I haven't interviewed yet. So I gotta interview you, and we're gonna be doing that soon. So I can't wait to do that. But I love that you said that just meeting people at conventions and people coming up to you talking about how they love your cosplay and whatnot. That is always one of the coolest things that I love at conventions. And just recently, one of my friends, Forever Red Cosplay, who was another cosplayer that I interviewed, and you can check out his interview. It is up here on YouTube. He recently just made a post talking about how a lot of the cosplays that he does, he makes them by hand. And some people with cosplay elitists, they'll say that your cosplays aren't that good because it's just like you're not putting the money into making them look like movie quality cosplays, which he's just doing it for fun, and his cosplays all look amazing. But I feel like people can be too entitled when it comes to cosplay. Sometimes we're all just trying to have a good time. So I want to know, like, has there ever been a time in your cosplay journey where you received some sort of criticism that you thought was unwelcome, and how did you bounce back, or how did you clap back at that criticism that you got?
So a lot of the time with my cosplays, I don't receive necessarily criticism, but I do get a lot of creepy comments that can be very difficult to deal with when, because people will make them like IRL, like at conventions to me personally, and they'll reach out and try to like touch my costume itself. Or sometimes they'll say like, oh, you should like, instead of doing this character, you should do this one instead because you would look so much better like that. And I'm just like, I'm doing this for myself. I'm not doing
Exactly.
this for anybody else's validation. If I'm having a fun time with it and I'm confident in who I'm dressing up as, that is literally the only thing that matters. I struggled a lot with comparing myself to other cosplays when I first started, just because I didn't realize that it's the point of cosplay isn't to be 100% accurate to every single character you're doing. That's
Yep.
not the point, because you can do whatever spin on a character you want. It's whatever makes you the happiest, whatever is the most fun for you. And so once I realized that, and I realized that instead of like comparing myself, we should all just be uplifting each other. That's how I've bounced back from all of that, and having such an amazing support group like I do with all of my friends when there are creepy people at conventions, because sometimes people at conventions, they don't have a lot of social interaction in other places. And so when they go into a huge setting like that and people are wearing crazy costumes, they just take it as a go for everything.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is not true. Cosplay is not consent. You can see those signs everywhere at conventions. And so just having people there with me, I always suggest going to a convention with somebody if you can. If you can't, that's okay. But especially if you're wearing like a riskier costume, because that's what I wear a lot of the time. You can go see it on my Instagram. I wear like very just like very showy costumes. And
Yeah.
so whenever I do that, I always try to stick with some of my friends. So having that and just like really just being proud of who I am in my costume is how I get through a lot of that.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what you were saying, I was literally just having this conversation with one of my friends about how, as a female or as a woman, because I know some people don't like the term female, but as a woman, you should be able to go to a con and wear whatever cosplay you want to wear without having to deal with people being creeps. And like you said, there are some people who don't have a lot of social interaction. So when they're at these cons, in a way, they're kind of like gatekeepers, where it's just like they feel like, oh, because I have this much knowledge on anime and video games, you
Yeah.
must respect me and you must listen to me. And it's just like we're all just here to have a good time. And I always tell everybody, if you're dealing with any creeps at a con or anything, and I'm there, come let your boy know, because I'll shut that down. Which
I appreciate that.
hey, well, we gonna be at Con together, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that, because it's like, I understand, because of course, I mean, like, it happens to guys too, but you don't hear about it as much. Like, you always hear about it when it comes to women that go to cons. It's like they're just wearing a cosplay, and some dude wants to be touchy grabby,
I
and
think that it's an invitation.
yeah, and it's not like you're just wearing your cosplay just to have a good time, and you shouldn't have to go through that experience when you're just trying to have a good time. So, like Bennett was saying, if you do want to wear kind of like a risque cosplay because it's one of your favorite characters or something like that, just make sure that you're not by yourself. Make sure that you're with a group of people, because when you're with a group of people, that guy isn't going to try to approach
Yeah,
you
there's a
and
lot
try to.
less likely.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything. They only do that to cosplayers that they see are by themselves. And in a way, that can deter somebody from wanting to continue going to cons, or, like some of my women friends, they don't want to dress up as women, not cosplays, but they don't want to dress up as women characters from their favorite animes, because they don't want to be hit on. They don't want to be touched. And it's like, that's not fair. It's like everybody should just be able to come to a con and have a good time. And I'm off my soapbox now, because it's like your boy can talk when it comes to stuff like that, because it's like cosplay is supposed to be fun and for everybody. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that stuff when you're at conventions, because it's not cool. And to creeps that are watching this, if you do watch Who's That Cosplayer, stop doing that stuff, or I'm gonna knock you out.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah, man. Oh my god. But it's like I gotta come back down, because sometimes we get real up here. Where do I want to go next? Where do I want to go next? Usually my co-hosts are here and they take the ball. Okay, we'll go to this now because you already mentioned it. What are some of your hobbies that you like to do when you're not cosplaying? I know that Genshin Impact is a big thing in your life. So I already know we're going to hear some Genshin stuff. So go ahead.
So yes, I do like gaming a lot. I'm trying to branch out into different games. I've been wanting to start like Pokemon Violet and Persona 5 Royal because I do want to cosplay characters for both of them.
Yes, go ahead. I love
I,
Persona.
yes, I love Genshin. I always tell people like Genshin's an awesome game, but if you want to have a gambling addiction, like you need to be prepared for that because it's going to give you that. I've
Yeah,
known people who have picked up entire jobs just so they can afford things in the game. And I'm just like, that's a lot. Let's
it is.
let's not do that. It's a little too much. Let's dial it back a bit. But other than gaming, I really do. I love prop making. I've been trying to get more into that, especially since I just got a 3D printer
Nice.
and I have no idea how to use it, but I'm gonna learn and hopefully that goes well. I really like reading as well. I'm just into all nerdy things basically. I love art because it's such like an immersive type of media that you can get into, and there's so many different types, whether it's digital or on paper. Um, and I just love hanging out with my friends and just going out. And even if we don't have a specific thing that we're trying to do, just being with people in general is so much fun, especially when you know that the people you're hanging out with are there like for you and they're not against you.
Yeah,
And so I think those are some of my favorite hobbies to do outside of cosplay.
I like all of that. Like those sound like some amazing hobbies, and that's why I love asking that question because it's like everybody has different answers. I mean, like of course, people play video games, watch anime and stuff like that, but I just love hearing the stuff because about the 3D printer, like you could make your own prop, and then when people see those props, then they're just like, oh man, like can you make this for me? And then it's just like, bam, now you have a prop making business because
Yes.
you're learning how to do this. And that's why I always love saying level up because you do level up compared to where you started at, where you did the Ruby cosplay to where you are now. You didn't come a long way in such a short period of time, so pinky's up to you for that. And
Thank
you're welcome. You're welcome. So final question that I have for you is because this is the new year, what is one goal that you have for yourself that you are hoping to accomplish in your cosplay journey?
Ooh, okay. Just one. I mean,
Do you have multiple?
I have a lot. I
Oh Lord. Well, okay, hold on. Let me put the timer for 2 hours. All right, go ahead.
I think since I've just started like taking cosplay serious and I just like in the past few months have made my like regular account on Instagram into a cosplay account. I think that's just like opened up so many doorways for different things that I want to start and accomplish. I think making more props in this new year is definitely one of my biggest ones because with a lot of the cosplays that I do, they have really, really amazing props. And it's just, I can do a lot of them by hand, but doing them specifically with something like a 3D printer just give them a whole nother type of finish that I really, really want to work on. And I have a lot of cosplay friends who do 3D printing stuff that are going to be giving me like tips and tricks for that. I also really want to learn how to do wigs, at least just a little bit. Because I have no idea. They're very, very difficult. Again, shout out to Verona's Roses and their new account with PJ Pancake on Pancake Roses. I also want to learn how to do my own costumes, like hemming them and seaming them, just because all of the costumes that I get, usually I do need to alter them in some type of way just for my body type specifically. And so learning how to do that myself instead, and then maybe creating some type of thing where I could help other people with that. Those are some of my biggest things that I really, really want to accomplish this year.
Okay. All right. Hey, look, I'm happy to hear all of that. I'm glad it wasn't 2 hours long. And I tell everybody that sets goals for themselves. I think that every goal is accomplishable as long as you speak it into existence and you work hard at it. I think that anything and everything is accomplishable. So hey, pinky's up to you, and I know that you'll knock it out of the park because you do have a good friend group, and everybody that's in that group, it's just like it's kind of like like an RPG. It's just like everybody's good at something, and you know, you take something from every person and you level up with it. So Bennett, thank you so much for joining me up here on a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer. It was an awesome interview, and I gotta ask you, tell everybody in social media land where they can find you.
So Instagram is primarily what I use right now, and that's Bennett.cos. I am hoping to branch out to TikTok this year, so look forward to that. It's going to be under the same username, but thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome. Hey, thank you so much for joining me, and y'all make sure that y'all go and follow Bennett on their Instagram account, and then y'all slide in them DMs and be like, hey, go ahead and make that TikTok soon so that way we can follow you up there. Y'all know where y'all can find me, your hero Benjamin Banks at King Benji_Banks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you, everybody, for watching this interview. Make sure you check out some more interviews that I have up here on the channel, along with reviews and reaction videos. Check out our podcast. We have brand new episodes every Tuesday. The link is down below in the description. And with that being said, keep that pinky up. Stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.